Have you heard of the Christ oil theory? So the word Christ doesn't mean saviour. It comes from the Greek Christos, which literally means anointed with oil. So when we say Jesus Christ, we're actually saying Jesus the anointed one. But anointed with what? Well, according to this theory, your own sacred oil. Your brain produces a sacred secretion. The ancients called it different things: the Christ oil, the holy oil, the food of the gods, ambrosia. Here's the process or theory as they understood it. Every month, this sacred, untainted oil, seed of your enlightenment, is born. And of course, we have the birth site of Jesus as Bethlehem, which in ancient Hebrew means house of bread, i.e. your physical body. So it is born, and next it travels down your spine. And when the oil reaches the base of your spine, the sacrum, which literally means sacred bone, you enter a critical period. The mystics said it takes about 3 days, which again would link to Jesus' resurrection story. This is your testing period. This is where choice comes in. Matthew 26:41 captures this perfectly. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Unfortunately, most people, according to the theory, unintentionally waste the Christ oil. How does this happen, you ask? Through the daily grind of uncontrolled, lower vibrational living. Things like excessive emotional turmoil, like fear or anger or worry or overindulgence, too much food, too much drink, too much sensory input, or wasting life force energy, uncontrolled expression of certain physical appetites, if you know what I mean. When you live this way, the oil gets quickly consumed and metabolized by your body to fuel these lower passions. It's scattered and used up, preventing it from doing its real job. So the oil can't fulfill its purpose when it's stuck serving these earthly appetites. It needs to be preserved, kept pure in the sacrum, until it's time to be resurrected. Like the 3 days that Christ was in the tomb. You must avoid all of the previously mentioned things and discipline yourself through meditation, through stillness, through fasting. And after this, the oil is supposedly awakened and guided up the spine. This is the resurrection. It begins ascending back up your spine, and as it ascends, it is said to ignite the energy centers or chakras along the spine, awakening dormant power and knowledge. The lead becomes gold, the seed becomes Christ, the material becomes spiritual. And when it finally reaches the top, we end up at Golgotha, where the crucifixion was said to take place. Mark 15:22, and they bring him, Jesus, unto the place Golgotha, which is, being interpreted, the place of a skull. Your skull. So the journey culminates in the brain, where the oil is said to activate the pineal gland, also known as the third eye. Also, when we look at the more traditional church, they instead use physical oil and wipe it on you. I mean, what this is actually supposed to do or achieve, I really don't know. But the reason I mention it is because they use olive oil for this. And when we look back at the other theory with your own sacred oil, when this has risen back up, it touches the brain at the olivary body, which is the olive. And naturally, you are anointed with olive oil. So your lower nature, your ego, your material self, your earthly desires are no more. The lower self surrenders completely to the higher self. Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. The ego dies. You become the Christos, the anointed one. And you're left with direct communion with God. Not the God out there, the God within you. Christ consciousness, enlightenment. We can see some similarities with other cultures in terms of bringing energy up through the spine too. Take the Kundalini. This is the concept of a coiled spiritual energy symbolized as a serpent that rests at the base of the spine, the sacrum. The goal is to awaken this energy and guide it up the central channel, the spine, to the crown of the head. It's essentially the same energetic path. We can also see a parallel in ancient Egyptian mythology with the concept of the Jed pillar, which is often interpreted as representing the spinal column of the god Osiris, and you can once again see the serpent. The rising of the Jed pillar symbolizes Osiris' resurrection and stability, perhaps similar to the resurrection of the Christ oil up the spine. Back to the Christ oil theory, interestingly, this is said to happen every month, timed precisely with the astrological moon, meaning the moon phase you were born under. So every single month, you have the opportunity for resurrection, for spiritual rebirth. They had the idea that the crucifixion and resurrection weren't just one-time historical events, but rather a monthly spiritual process encoded into your body. And so, it's all happening inside you, right now, every month. Now again, I just want to point out that this is purely theoretical. I'm not saying that this is true or untrue, but presenting what is certainly a very interesting idea. Something I plan on trying myself. So I'll end it there, and thank you guys as always for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. And until then, I will see you next time.